This all happened since Tuesday. It's not a current events class, but I'm an old dude, and that's a lot to be happening very quickly. And then, of course, yesterday, Charlie Kirk got plugged in Utah at a college campus. So I think everybody probably saw that. Does anybody know who Charlie Kirk is before yesterday? He's apparently very popular with you people, meaning young. Well, popular is maybe the wrong word. He's known by you, but he's said some pretty controversial things. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is, without any idea who the actual shooter was or what their ideology was, unfortunately, we're already seeing kind of this decamping. So there was a Congresswoman, Nancy Mace. She's something else. And she said the Democrats own this shooter. This is the Democrats' responsibility. Does anybody remember what happened in Minnesota in June? What happened in Minnesota in June?
Got shot, right?
Who?
Trump got shot?
That was way before June, but what happened in June?
Didn't a congresswoman and her husband get killed?
A state senator in Minnesota, a guy dressed as a police officer knocked on their door. They opened the door. He executed her and her husband and their dog. And then he went to a state representative's house and shot him. He lived. Both Democratic lawmakers, they were both members of the Democratic Party in the Minnesota state legislature, and the shooter that was finally arrested, dressed as a police officer, had posted a lot of right-wing, kind of hardcore right-wing ideology. Does anybody ever remember that happened? Yeah. Were the flags flown at half staff in America for the state senator in Minnesota that was shot in the face and killed? They were not. Okay. You didn't even know that it happened. So we're seeing this escalation in political violence. And before we say it's unprecedented, has anybody ever heard of JFK? RFK's uncle? You know, the guy that's in charge of Health and Human Services right now. What happened to JFK?
He got shot, murdered.
Assassinated. What happened to Martin Luther King?
He got shot.
What happened to Robert Kennedy Sr.? He got assassinated. All three in a not relatively, but in a relative time period. So political violence in America is not anything new. But when we say we are a country of rule of law, because you're in an administration of justice class, and then people disregard the law, go back to the first day. What stops me from stealing her water bottle? Either I think it's the wrong thing to do, or I'm afraid of the consequences of getting caught. What happens if neither of those things inhibit my behavior? Lawlessness. I take her water bottle. She tries to stop me. We get in a fight. Here we go. So I don't know what happens next. As I'm very concerned, because I'm seeing a lot of people talking about this is war, revenge. We will avenge him. So again, whether you agree or disagree with Charlie Kirk's political speech, and it's incendiary, regardless of your views, the things he says, whether you agree with them or not. I think there was a plane crash and he said, well, the pilot's black. So, I wouldn't get on a plane with a black pilot. Taylor Swift should be subservient to Jason Kelsey. She should take her place as a woman and do what he says. He said a lot of stuff like that. Whether you agree or disagree with it, as everybody is saying, murder is not an acceptable alternative to that. So we'll find out as the investigation goes on. I don't know if you saw, they had somebody in custody, then they didn't have somebody in custody, then they had a second person, but he's not the suspect either. So it's very confusing right now what's happening. But remember, the guy that shot Trump in Pennsylvania was a registered Republican. So until we know, we don't know. And I would encourage you as citizens to be vigilant and pay attention and keep your ears open, because your generation is going to have to clean this up, because mine has done a pretty bad job of kind of setting the table here. Also, a quick note about France.